share with you for the next 15, 20 minutes or so is insights from seeing around corners. So the book is really about how do you anticipate and capitalize on strategic inflection points. And the way I define an inflection point is something that is going to change how you do your business. And so this presentation is one chapter of the book. It's about how you, as a leader, get close to what I call the edges. And this comes from Andy Grove's observation back in the 90s that when you want to see where spring is going to be evident, you have to go to the periphery because that's where things are most exposed. And the way I would phrase it is snow melts from the edges. And how do you get to the edges of your organization so that you can really see what's going on? So before we get to that, I wanted to sort of illustrate the context in which we are operating, competing, and so forth. So this slide is a picture of market share changes in the gaming business. Any of you gamers? Okay. So in the beginning, like back when the industry first started, there were arcade games. Some of you are too young to remember that, but you had to go to a place during office hours, right, when they were open, and throw money at this refrigerator-sized machine, and each game was programmed for one machine because they were so complicated, and that was the world. And they owned the entire industry. That was where gaming started. And a bunch of people said, well, wait a minute, that's not very convenient. So the next thing was games that separated the game from the device. And that was a huge shift, right? So then we had games that you could play on any kind of device. So you had, Apple IIs and Ataris and Pongs and things, and you could play the game at home. And that was awesome because now you could play all day, all night if you wanted to. Then we had games that were played on multi-purpose devices like a PC or whatever. And today, where do you play games? Your phone, everywhere, right? We've got Fortnite now, which is like the curse of the 10 to 11-year-old people. The point is not what particular thing dominated at a time. The point is the pattern. You've got this moment where things get created and they emerge into the world. They last for a while, and probably PlayStation is a great illustration of that, right? You've got this moment where it gets created, it thrives for a while, and then you have erosion and disengagement. And so one of my arguments about strategy is that increasingly we are in a world where we're dealing with transient rather than sustainable competitive advantage. So this idea that you had an industry and you entered that industry and you found an attractive position, it lasted for a long time and that's what you planned for, that really isn't the world that we're living in today. So I think this puts a premium on executives being able to detect the early warnings that things are changing. And so that's what this presentation is really about. This is the context, which is this transient competitive advantage.